In a move that could reshape U.S. Panama relations and alter the geopolitical landscape of Central America, the Trump administration has instructed the U.S. military to develop strategic options regarding the Panama Canal. This directive, reported by NBC News, follows President Trump's recent assertion during a joint address to Congress that his administration aims to reclaim the canal, a pivotal waterway that has been under Panamanian control since 1999. The Panama Canal, a crucial artery for global trade, has become a focal point in the ongoing competition between the United States and China. Officials from the Trump administration have expressed concerns over China's growing influence in the region, particularly regarding its investments and development projects in Panama. U.S. Southern Command is currently exploring various strategies, which range from enhancing collaboration with Panamanian security forces to a more drastic option of potential military intervention. According to U.S. officials familiar with the planning, the military's options include increasing the American troop presence in Panama. The commander of U.S. Southern Command, Admiral Alvin Halsey, has already presented preliminary strategies to Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, who is expected to visit Panama next month. These plans are being crafted with the goal of countering what U.S. officials describe as an unacceptable level of Chinese involvement in the region. Critics of U.S. intentions have pointed out that both Panama and China deny any foreign interference regarding the canal, which is constitutionally mandated to remain neutral. Chinese officials have accused the U.S. of exerting coercive pressure on Panama to block Chinese aid projects, suggesting that the dialogue around the canal is as much about perception as it is about strategic interests. Trump's focus on the canal is not without historical context. The United States constructed the canal in the early 20th century and maintained control until the late 1990s. Since then, Panama has managed the canal independently, leading to a complex relationship that has evolved amid shifting global power dynamics. The former president has privately indicated that a visible military presence near the canal is vital to reclaiming its operational control, a perspective that seems to be gaining traction within his administration. Concerns about national security are also driving U.S. strategy. Officials have warned that should conflicts arise, China's control over infrastructure in Panama could endanger American military shipping routes. Recent statements from Secretary of State Marco Rubio emphasized that the U.S. cannot accept the current level of Chinese operations in the canal, highlighting a possible pivot towards a more aggressive stance. Plans under consideration include increasing U.S. military engagement in Panama through training initiatives, securing vital shipping lanes, and potentially restoring direct operational control over the canal. Such actions could significantly alter the balance of power in the region and provoke responses from both China and Panama. As these developments unfold, the implications for U.S.-China relations will be closely monitored. The strategic importance of the Panama Canal, coupled with the rising tensions in the South China Sea and other global hotspots, suggests that this situation may evolve into a broader geopolitical confrontation in the coming months. As the Trump administration's plans take shape, the international community will be watching closely to understand how America's renewed focus on the Panama Canal will impact regional stability and U.S. foreign policy. The interplay of military strategy, economic interests, and diplomatic relations will be crucial as the U.S. navigates its role in the ever-changing global landscape. As the global economic landscape continues to shift, President Donald Trump's aggressive tariff policies are increasingly coming under scrutiny, particularly from countries that find themselves caught in the crossfire of his trade wars. The latest developments underscore a growing concern among international observers and trade partners, notably China and Mexico, regarding the implications of Trump's economic strategy. In recent weeks, Trump's trade policies have escalated, with significant tariffs imposed on steel and aluminum imports from various nations, including Canada and Mexico, and a renewed focus on indirect trade routes involving China. The tariffs, which began at 25%, have seen threats of increases to as much as 50%, prompting a swift retaliatory response from affected countries. For instance, Canada announced retaliatory tariffs on roughly $20 billion of U.S. goods, while the European Union prepared countermeasures against U.S. products valued at approximately $28 billion. China's response has been particularly noteworthy as the country grapples with the potential for further isolation from the lucrative U.S. market. According to Keith Bradshaw of the New York Times, Chinese officials have expressed concerns that Trump's tariffs on Mexico might signal a broader strategy aimed at forcing developing countries to choose between trading with the U.S. or China. This fear is compounded by China's shrinking trade surplus with the U.S., which has decreased by nearly a third since 2018. Chinese exports to developing markets, however, have surged, creating new avenues for trade that officials worry could be threatened by U.S. pressure. Wang Wentao, China's commerce minister, recently highlighted the nation's reliance on developing markets, noting that over half of its international trade is now linked to countries involved in its Belt and Road Initiative. While Wang emphasized the resilience of China's foreign trade strategy, the potential for increased tariffs from Mexico, should they acquiesce to U.S. demands, poses a significant threat to China's indirect access to the American market. The World Trade Organization (WTO) rules allow countries like Mexico to raise tariffs on Chinese goods without immediate recourse for retaliation from Beijing, further complicating the trade dynamics. In the face of these developments, analysts predict that the ramifications of Trump's tariffs will extend far beyond the immediate economic impact on affected industries. For example, the automotive sector has already begun feeling the strain as manufacturers like Stellantis grapple with the uncertainty created by fluctuating tariffs. The broader implications for consumer prices are concerning, with many experts warning that increased costs could soon ripple through to everyday goods from automobiles to food products. As the trade war intensifies, reactions from U.S. industries are mixed. Some sectors like steel manufacturing have welcomed the tariffs as a means to protect domestic jobs. However, companies reliant on imported materials have expressed alarm over rising production costs and disrupted supply chains. Tesla, for instance, cautioned that escalating trade tensions could significantly increase its manufacturing expenses, highlighting the interconnectedness of global supply chains and the potential for tariffs to have unintended consequences. Looking ahead, the prospects for U.S.-China relations remain uncertain. While President Trump continues to assert that he will not relent in his trade negotiations, the consequences of a prolonged trade war could be detrimental not only to the U.S. economy but also to global market stability. As noted by Christine Lagarde, the European Central Bank president, any escalation into a full-blown trade war would likely have severe repercussions for economic growth worldwide. In conclusion, while Trump's tariffs are intended to recalibrate trade agreements and enhance American manufacturing, they may also catalyze significant shifts in global trade dynamics. The ongoing uncertainty raises critical questions about the long-term sustainability of such a confrontational approach and its implications for economic cooperation in an increasingly interconnected world. As countries strategize their responses and seek alternatives, the coming months will be pivotal in determining the trajectory of international trade relations. In a striking move that could reshape the geopolitical landscape of Central America, the Trump administration has instructed the U.S. military to develop strategies aimed at enhancing American influence over the Panama Canal. This directive, which was revealed by U.S. officials, aligns with President Trump's recent assertion that his administration intends to reclaim the canal, a waterway pivotal to global trade and strategic military operations. During a joint address to Congress, Trump articulated his vision for bolstering national security through increased U.S. control over the Panama Canal, which has remained under Panamanian sovereignty since the 1999 treaty signed by President Jimmy Carter. The ambiguity surrounding what reclaiming the canal entails has left many policymakers and analysts questioning the administration's intentions. U.S. Southern Command has been tasked with formulating various options that range from closer collaboration with Panamanian security forces to the more extreme and unlikely scenario of military intervention to seize the canal. According to sources familiar with the planning, the objective behind these measures is to counteract the growing influence of China in the region, particularly concerning its access to the canal. Current U.S. military presence in Panama includes around 200 troops, primarily special forces, engaged in training Panamanian forces to maintain stability and respond to internal threats. Enhancing this military footprint could signal a shift in how the U.S. views its role in Central America, particularly as it seeks to limit China's reach. While both Panama and China have dismissed claims of foreign interference in canal operations, the U.S. has expressed concerns that China's expanding presence could pose risks to American shipping and military logistics. Admiral Alvin Halsey, the commander of U.S. Southern Command, has reportedly briefed Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth on possible strategies which may include securing existing ports, constructing new ones, and even establishing military training camps reminiscent of those from the pre-1999 era. This proposed escalation has already drawn criticism, with Chinese officials accusing the U.S. of coercive tactics aimed at undermining Chinese investment in the region. The dialogue surrounding this issue has intensified, especially following a recent visit by Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who conveyed to Panamanian President José Raúl Mulino that the current status of Chinese influence is unacceptable. The broader implications of these developments extend beyond the immediate concerns over the canal. The Panama Canal is a critical artery for global trade, and any disruption, whether through military action or increased tensions, could have significant economic repercussions. The canal's neutrality is enshrined in Panama's constitution, and the U.S. military intervention could evoke memories of past U.S. actions in Panama, such as the 1989 invasion to oust Manuel Noriega. Looking ahead, the potential for U.S. military engagement in Panama poses a complex set of challenges and risks. While the administration's push to reclaim influence over the canal may resonate with domestic political narratives, it also risks escalating tensions with China and could provoke a regional backlash. As both nations navigate this high-stakes game of geopolitical chess, the future of the Panama Canal and U.S. Panama relations hangs in the balance, demanding careful consideration of the ramifications of any military or diplomatic maneuvers.